Good morning. I'm Janina Wright, a member of our Board of Trustees of Tahoma UU Congregation. As we begin our gathering, I respectfully acknowledge that I speak to you today from occupied Puyallup ancestral land. I pay respect to elders past and present and extend that respect to their descendants and all Indigenous people. We welcome all who are joining us with a longing for community, the hope for peace, and who are seeking justice. We are a diverse congregation which encourages each one who comes through our doors to find their own truth and belief. We invite all to join us in a search for meaning and community, guided by reason, respect for each other, and by love. Now, a few exciting announcements. Following worship service online today, we have online and in-person opportunities to connect in community. Immediately following our worship service, you can join us for social time in Zoom meeting. I'll be there. Again, this is my second week in a row. It was very fun and well attended last week. Thank you to everyone who came. We'll paste that link throughout the service and also at the end so that you'll have it available to you, but you can also find it on the church calendar, which has all of these announcements and then some. Or at noon, you can join us for social time in person at Wapato Park. This is, however, a weather permitting. We're not quite sure how it's gonna pan out, but it is raining now. So if it continues to rain, then Zoom will be your best chance to socialize with other members of the community. And next Saturday, October 30th, we're hosting Trunk or Treat. Hopefully you've seen those posts in the chat as Patty was welcoming us. We are going to be gathering together in the church parking lot. There will be a costume parade. Spoiler, Julian is a pumpkin. And kids will be able to trunk or treat, going from car to receive Halloween goodies. Adults, we need you. You have an opportunity too. We still have 16 out of 20 slots available. So far, Julian's gonna get 4 pieces of candy, which is okay with me, but I would love if he got at least 16 more. Please bring and share a commercially packaged treat from the rear of your vehicle. It sure is a fun time. Just a little quick story. We had a trunk or treat for Julian's preschool yesterday. We don't get a ton of trick-or-treaters at our house, so it is really, for me, is a time to get to see what costumes are out there, to interact with children, and then also interact with other parents and adults who also kind of want to see the excitement of Halloween and be together in community. There will be prizes for those of you who decorate your trunk in the spookiest, the most creative, or the funniest decoration style. Register online to be a vehicle in the parking lot. We'll be following our outdoor guidelines for this fun event. If there are children who cannot come, that's okay too. We're gonna bring you some treats. Please contact Nancy Slocum so that we can arrange to deliver a bag to your house. Also next Saturday, Tacoma Pierce County Health Department will be holding the second of 2 vaccine clinics in our church parking lot. The Pfizer vaccine will be offered for free to anyone 12 or older and can be the first, second, or booster dose. No appointment is required for the health event for our community. Next Sunday, October 31st, Halloween, we'll welcome back Reverend Linda from her sabbatical. And today is sadly Reverend Joe's last Sunday with us as sabbatical minister. We sincerely thank Reverend Joe for all of the work he's done with us. Some of you may have only seen Reverend Joe at work on Sundays, leading worship services and sharing his engaging messages with us. But he has also worked a great deal with the board and staff and has done substantial work around homelessness in our immediate church area, including making connections with our city council member and homeless outreach team members, which I really appreciate, and I have really loved having his leadership on the board. Reverend Joe will also be with us at Wapato Park today, weather pending. So we invite you to join us to thank him for being such an integral part of our community as our sabbatical minister. Reverend Joe, I hope if we can't make it to Wapato Park, we'll see you at our Zoom social hour. I hope. Links for all of these programs that I've talked about today can be found in our weekly e-news or our church calendar. If you're not receiving our weekly e-news, I will also paste a link to our website. All you have to do is scroll right down to the bottom of the homepage, and there is a sign up for Tahoma UU congregation email list right on the homepage, which I'm posting right now for everyone to see in case you aren't receiving those. We also have, this week, you can also learn about the covenant group that met recently at the church, in the sanctuary, in person, using the small group gathering guidelines and highlights on what's happening at the church to prepare for coming together. This can be found both in the e-news and on the church website. I know we have a lot of feelings around this, and the Coming Together Committee is working very hard and meeting often to get the latest information on the recommended in-person guidelines. Friends, please read your e-news when it arrives in your inbox each week. It is the primary channel right now to stay connected and informed on all that is happening in our congregation, and there's a lot. Our staff works hard to assure your e-news contains all the news and information you ask for and expect. Thank you. And thank you too for your ongoing financial support to our congregation that makes all of this possible. Our programs, our staff who create and facilitate these programs, and the connections that we make through our congregation. Now, thank you for listening to all of that, and let us join together in worship.
Well, thank you, Janina, for your gracious words on behalf of others here at Tahoma UU. I am Reverend Joe Rettenmeyer. I am the sabbatical minister covering for the Reverend Dr. Linda Hart here at Tahoma UU. It has been a total honor over 5 months of sabbatical ministry to work with and on behalf of each and every one of you. I want to share some opening words to begin to move our hearts and minds into a worshipful space. These are by Ibu Patel. I believe every inch of America is sacred, from sea to shining sea. I believe we make it holy by who we welcome and by how we relate to each other. Call it my Muslim eyes on the American project. We made you different nations and tribes that you may come to know one another, says the Quran.
We're going to be lighting the chalice. Light a candle or chalice in your home as we speak the words printed in the chat. We light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and the holiness of life, in honor and gratitude for those who've gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come.
Good morning. My name's Nancy Slocum, and I am the Director of Religious Exploration for Children and Youth here at Tahoma Unitarian Universalist Congregation. As always, it is so wonderful to be with you this morning. It's been rainy and gray, but I feel the warmth of this congregation, and it is great, great to be together. This is our time for all ages, the time when we invite children typically to come forward in the sanctuary and hear a story or a lesson. So imagine coming forward. And before I start, I know we've said it many times now, but trunk or treat next Saturday afternoon. Please sign up to bring your trunk, hand out some treats to kids in your community. I just think it would be wonderful to have a great turnout. And we've been missing each other. And I know I've been missing the kids, but also the adults. The more who come and participate, the more we'll get to see each other and be together. And it's going to be a great thing, I believe. So, recently I was in Point Defiance Park. I've spoken about Point Defiance Park a lot. So, I go there often. I live close and it's such a wonderful place. And recently when I was there, I saw a raccoon. They come out from the woods out onto the street. They're always looking for food. I think people sometimes feed them. I don't feed them, but I do love seeing them. As tempting as it might be to give them some food, I know that human food is not healthy for them and that they really need to know how to find food on their own in the woods. We don't want them being dependent on humans. But as I watched the raccoon, I was reminded of a summer many, 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 many years ago when I was a girl of about 9 or 10 years old. Every summer, I would go spend a few weeks in Vermont in a hunting camp, a big cabin with my aunts and uncles and a whole bunch of cousins. And it was in the woods. It was surrounded by forest. You'd go up at one dirt road and then turn off it to another dirt road to get up to this place. It was just isolated in the middle of the woods. And this particular summer, one day a man who knew my aunts and uncles came driving up this dirt road, and he had a special request. He got out of his car carrying a box, a cardboard box. And when we looked inside it, we were just delighted to see a little baby raccoon. It was sad. This baby was an orphan. His mother had been killed by a car on the road. And this little guy was all alone. And he was going to have to learn how to live on his own, how to find food on his own without his mother teaching him how. And this man brought the raccoon up to us because we were far away from the road. And he thought that he knew there were other raccoons in the woods there and thought that maybe this coon would have an opportunity to survive if he was in this kind of secluded, safe space to find his way without the lessons from his mother. Well, we named him Ralph and we kept an eye on him the rest of our time there, but we were careful not to turn him into a pet. We just watched him. We let him find his own way. Finally, the time came to leave and we said goodbye, knowing that we might not see him again. It was a really great experience for me as a child, getting to observe this young raccoon over that time, watching him learn how to survive on his own. It was a short experience, but it stays with me to this day. It helped me learn the importance of being respectful of all creatures in the wild, and it really helped to shape who I am. And I remember that special experience every time I see a raccoon in the wild. I find there are a lot of times in my life when I remember experiences, and especially people who have been in my life. We all have people in our lives, like family and close friends, who are a big part of our lives and will be in our lives for a very, very long time. But then there are other people who come into our lives for briefer periods of time, but we still might always remember them. Just like I remember the time I spent with Ralph in Vermont, there are certain people who pop into my mind from time to time. Some of the memories I have are kind of silly. Like I remember a friend of mine from middle school. She and I were both just passionate about horses. We loved all things about horses. And whenever I eat an apple, I think about her because I remember one time watching her eat an apple and she ate the whole apple, core and all. And I was surprised, you're eating the core? And she said, well, horses eat apples, core and all. Why shouldn't I? Yeah, that didn't get me to start eating apple cores. I don't know if she still does. She and I haven't been in touch for a very long time. But every time I eat an apple, I think about her. And I think about that time when she ate the apple core. But I also think about what an important person she was to me in that time of my life, what a good friend she was, and all the wonderful memories we have. I don't see her now, but I do remember her fondly every time I eat an apple. And I always send her a little blessing, a silent blessing, a thank you for having been a part of my life. I don't know if she feels that blessing when I send it, but I know that for me, remembering that blessing, feeling the gratitude I have for her having been in my life, that's a blessing for me as well. As I look over my life, I've learned so many things from so many people whose paths have crossed mine. Sometimes I knew them just for a moment. Maybe it was a stranger who did something kind for me, but that I still remember decades and decades later. Maybe we had a wonderful friendship. I had a wonderful friendship with somebody, but our lives have now taken us to different places. The memories when they pop up are always an opportunity for me to feel grateful for their presence in my life and to send them that little blessing. For these past several months, our minister, Reverend Linda, has been on sabbatical, taking a break. While she's been gone, we have been blessed to have Reverend Joe with us to help us lead our congregation. Reverend Linda's coming back to church next week, and it's going to be great to have her back. I can't wait to hear about her time off and how she spent her time and what the time meant for her. It'll be nice to have her in the pulpit again. But it also means we're saying so long to Reverend Joe. So Reverend Joe, can you come here and join me for the Time for All Ages?
Me too, Nancy.
There. I don't know when our paths will cross again, but I know that you have left us with memories and with teachings that we will carry with us for the rest of our lives. And I guess I just want to encourage, if right now we can all take a moment. It'll be silent since we're doing this on Zoom, but let's send our silent blessings and gratitude to Joe for the time that he's been here. Reverend Joe, I hope you can feel those blessings, and we will continue to send them to you as we remember you with great fondness and fondness for your time here. So I have a poem that I want to share. This is from a book that I know Reverend Joe knows well, because I believe he told the story from it last week for the Time for All Ages. This is The House at Pooh Corner, written by A.A. Milne, and this was an important part of my growing up. In fact, my uncle used to read it to us at that hunting camp in Vermont. And in it is a poem. In the last chapter, Christopher Robin, who's the little boy who's best friends with Winnie the Pooh, he's going to be leaving. He's going off to school, and they're saying so long to Christopher Robin. And Eeyore, who's a donkey, who has never been the poet in the books. Winnie the Pooh is the one who often writes the poems, but Eeyore decides to take his stab at writing a poem. And he found out it wasn't as easy as it thought it might be when it comes especially to trying to rhyme his poem. So Joe, this is for you. Christopher Robin is going. At least I think he is. Where? Nobody knows. But he is going. I mean, he goes. To rhyme with nose. Do we care? To rhyme with where. We do. Very much. I haven't got a rhyme for that is in the second line yet. Bother. Oh, now I haven't got a rhyme for bother. Bother. Those two bothers will have to rhyme with each other. Bother. The fact is, this is more difficult than I thought. I ought, oh, very good indeed. I ought to begin again, but it is easier to stop. Christopher Robin, goodbye. Good. I and all your friends sends. I mean, all your friend send? Oh, very awkward this. It keeps going wrong. Well, anyhow, we send our love. End. And now, as I do, I will share the words from our song that we usually use to sing the children out of the sanctuary. And this is to you too, Joe. We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your hearts be at peace as you go, to nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go. Take good care.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you, everyone.
It's time to share that which we have been blessed with, to bless all of us. Now is the time to offer financial gifts for the work of this congregation. Thank you for your consideration to support our church during this unprecedented time. You may follow the link on the following slide, or click the link in the chat, or just text your donation of support to our church and members and staff to keep our congregation connected in this new and dynamic way. Every little bit helps, and while we may be physically apart, our gifts are much stronger together. Let's take a moment to dedicate our offerings. We dedicate ourselves and our offerings to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of love we call community, both within and beyond these walls.
Well, friends, yes, I have been your sabbatical minister for 5 months this year. As your sabbatical minister who is now looking at the beginning of my own little sabbatical, I have hopes for a gentle holiday season with my family and my friends before the busyness of spring's search cycle begins. And as ministers are wont to do, I've been reflecting on all that's made our months together salient and memorable and formational. I've been musing about how sabbatical ministry is quite unique, offering short-term coverage to my fellow ministers, this time my beloved colleague, Reverend Dr. Linda Hart, offering short-term coverage to facilitate a congregation's space and stability during ministerial rejuvenation, renewal, learning, growing. My experience is that sabbatical ministry offers a healthy workout in rapid learning, rapid adaptability to help maintain a congregation's momentum, ministry, and operations. It's a healthy workout in the gestalt of a faith community. Any community being an entity made up of many moving parts, yes, which gives way to something that's more than the combination of its parts, something that's larger than its machinations. Throughout our time together, I serve, learn, discern, and communicate as your minister And my intuitions for the gestalt of an organization ground me in this point of view. The minister is not the ministry. What cultivates the Tahoma UU ministry, what invigorates me as a minister at this congregation is you and us. We, this beautiful faith community, cultivated and nourished by all that we share together, growing through whatever we experience, the life events we love and support one another through, in faithful covenant with the larger world. We are the ministry. Because ministry is relationships. Relationships which are continually cultivated as we, the members and friends of this Tahoma Unitarian Universalist congregation, gather online or in person. We are the ministry. Ministry that dwells within, alongside, between our relationships as members, staff, clergy, friends, volunteers, strangers. A few weeks ago, you heard my reflections on the lessons we leave behind us as we move along life's path. A path which, in light of the point of view I'm sharing with you today, is a path of interdependent ministry. Our opportunities for learning lessons as a faith community continue to appear on the path ahead of us until we learn them. And once we do, we can move our interdependent, evolving ministry on to learn the next thing that will appear on the path before us. I think of the life work of Universalist Reverend Gordon McKeeman here, a leader of Universalism during the mid-century fusions of America's Unitarian and Universalist denominations. Now, these are his words from his cherished meditation manual, Out of the Ordinary Meditations. Ministry is a quality of relationship between and among human beings that beckons forth hidden possibilities, inviting people into deeper, more constant, more reverent relationship with the world and with one another, carrying forward a long heritage of hope and liberation that has dignified and informed the human venture over many centuries, being present with, to, and for others in their terrors and torments, in their grief, misery, and pain, knowing that those feelings are our feelings too. Celebrating the triumphs of the human spirit, the miracles of birth and life, the wonders of devotion and sacrifice, witnessing to life-enhancing values, speaking truth to power, standing for human dignity and equity, for compassion and aspiration, believing in life in the presence of death, struggling for human responsibility against principalities and structures that ignore humaneness and become instruments of death. It is all these and much, much more than all of them present in the wordless, the unspoken, the ineffable. It is speaking and living the highest we know and living with the knowledge that it is never as deep or as wide or as high as we wish. Whenever there is a meeting that summons us to our better selves, wherever our lostness is found, our fragments are united, or our wounds begin healing, our spines stiffen and our muscles grow strong for the task, there is ministry. Friends, the truth is we've lived through some ministry workouts in 5 months together, which have blessed us with new learnings we could not have anticipated. You have helped my ministry muscles grow strong for the task. Last January, during that first month of my sabbatical ministry with you, we gathered in Sunday services, Friday evening vespers, and weekly team meetings. As the January 6th insurrection unfolded, we supported each other, we held safe refuge with one another, we weathered through the extreme concern of whether this diverse, beautiful nation would be able to transition our leadership with peace, with unity. That was a faith-building test not many of us had experienced before. It awoke so many to the necessity of congregational life to help us make sense of it all. Us, we, together. Strengthening our inner faiths to divine a path forward that would once again turn toward love, peace, and justice. And more recently, our interdependent ministry of we has brought to light this congregation's, this building's unavoidable long-term involvement in the lives of those experiencing houselessness. This summer and fall brought fruition to your long-standing work as a safe parking church when the first safe parkers began arriving in July, staying for many weeks, some for only a few days. The city's 1-year pilot phase of this safe parking program ended earlier this month, but its next phase is likely to be expanded and extended. Because out of the 123 parkers who participated throughout Pierce County in the last year, 37 have now transitioned into more stable housing. An inspiring impact, yes? 37 out of 123. We, Tahoma UU, hosted about 10 parkers from July to early October, 4 of whom have transitioned to services and more stable housing. 4 out of 10. That is the direct impact of our ministry, friends. Thanks to the safe parking team of volunteers and leaders leveraging their lived experience. This is one example of the transformational impact the ministry of you, us, we has had in our months together. My sabbatical journey with you through summer and fall also brought to light the long-standing reality of those experiencing transience or homelessness on this church's very doorstep. The ministry of me, you, us, chose to respond with firm compassion and empathy to transient folks using our property for illegal purposes for moments, minutes, hours, or weeks at a time. As a result, we've reconnected and relearned what it means to be a safe, spiritual gathering place for all souls. Which behaviors our safe sanctuary home can and cannot be used to support. Which lessons we will have to continue learning and implementing as we welcome all friends, all neighbors, all souls in this community. Us, we, you. Tahoma UU is a ministry that is manifest by us and the relationships we choose to cultivate in our community and neighborhood. Our collective ministry is also manifest by the relationships we choose to leave or neglect. And rather than spend our time, energies, money, faith, addressing and complaining about all that is wrong, what if we choose to minister unto one another, to cultivate all that is working, all that is good, how all our efforts and stances and labors are contributing toward a greater good. And that greater good will have to accommodate COVID. The virus is not going away, but as history has taught us, eventually it will become more survivable, less deadly, as vaccines and therapies spread across years. So what will church look like? Tahoma's need for hybrid church via larger online gatherings, larger outdoor gatherings, and smaller in-person gatherings seems likely to continue, does it not? Friends, I invite you to take advantage of the realistic options we now have in place for this point in the pandemic. Realistic options will realistically change as the pandemic changes. But this ministry of we is continuing to move forward despite COVID. Our Coming Together team has done hard research and discernment this summer to guideline just how this community can keep moving forward in gatherings. I'm standing in the sanctuary now, fully following our covenanted guidelines, and it is comfortable. And there is a gentle, fresh air supply moving in from the windows while the furnace is running and keeping the temperature nice. The question is, how do you, us, and we want to increase our ministerial strength and depth as a community as we gather? Here's another view on that from the author Philip K. Dick, who wrote a story that has been made into the movie The Adjustment Bureau. In the story, the character David says, And as I looked around for something to hang on to, something to help me cope with what had happened, the only thing that made sense to me was service. Finding a way to do something with my life that left this world a little better than I found it. Friends, yet again, in these months together, we have found ways to do something about the love that guides us in service to the greater good. Since January, we have left this world a little better than we found it in June. We, us, Tahoma UU, care and love. We, us, love meaningful conversations. In meetings, gatherings, rituals, worship, taking action, serving the needs of others by following their leads, we minister courageous conversations that matter. You, we, and us have deepened our resolve to converse with those we know and those we don't know, so that we may exercise our faith with curiosity. As your sabbatical minister, you have helped rejuvenate my own solutions, which rise from our connections. Each and every one of us learns that you don't fear people whose story you know. Offering your open ear and open heart always brings people closer together. Friends, I hope that as you move forward on this beautiful path of the ministry of we, that you carry in your heart and mind that meaningful conversations with those you don't yet know can transform your world. That is not hyperbole, friends. They can transform your world. Keep coming up with ideas and options for how you can gather together online and in person with those you know and those you don't yet know. Continue to embrace this ministry of we, which you have embraced with me and with Reverend Linda. Hug it close and trust it. Trust it with all of who you are, your skills, your dreams, your time, your love, your humility. There is so much here at Tahoma to nourish you on the journey. So, dear beloveds, let me make this pledge to you, all right? During the sabbatical minister's sabbatical I am now on the threshold of, I promise you I will continue discoveries of how I can serve and nourish the leads and needs of others I don't yet know. And as I hold this pledge with you, friends, I ask you to continue your discoveries of how you, Tahoma, can provide nourishing interdependence with others. Discover and cultivate surprises and delights of human goodness as you turn strangers on your path into friends. Discover and cultivate that power of the ministry of we. Blessed be, and amen. Oh, let's take a deep breath together, friends. Breathe in and out. Let us center mind and heart to set an intention for the week ahead, drawing from what has been valuable in all that's been shared together today.
Please join me as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Friends, I want to once again invite you. I'm looking out the window right now. I don't think we're going to be gathering at Wapato Park, friends. Okay, so let's gather in Zoom. As soon as the service ends, the link is in the chat or will be in the chat soon. Let's gather in this ministry of we. And let's sing our closing blessing song led by Zyriel Oliver Chandler.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and by this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and by this we